Morning.
Are we ready to go?
We're ready.
Okay, this is the regular meeting of the Larkspur Parks and Recreation Commission on Thursday, April 17th, 2025. It is now 6:34, and we will have roll call and call the meeting to order.
Perfect. Commissioner Purdell,
Here.
Commissioner Baxter,
Here.
Chair Harrison.
Here.
Let the record show that Commissioners Sunshine and Capel are absent tonight.
All right, the first thing on the agenda is our public comment period. This is when the commission hears from the public, comments only on matters which they have jurisdiction, and there will be no commission discussion. Do we have any?
Nobody online.
All right. Well, in that case, even though we do allocate 15 minutes for this part of the agenda, we are going to close this part of the agenda and move on to the approval of the consent calendar.
And
Do
If I
we have
could
the right
jump,
people?
if I could jump in, the only one that we can approve tonight is the minutes from the joint meeting on March 5th, which was the joint council commission
I
meeting.
would make a motion that we approve on the consent calendar, item 3.3 and whole 3.1 and 3.2 to our next meeting.
And I will second that motion.
All right, all those in favor, say aye. Aye.
Perfect.
All right, and we will table the November and February for our next commission meeting. With that, we will move to number 4 on the agenda, our business items, and the first one, 4.1, is educational signage at Piper Park.
You guys see that?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Okay.
wow.
So these are the educational signage that we have been talking about for, Commissioner Baxter said, almost a year now. So we are getting close. So at our last meeting, everybody agreed that they looked, all the commissioners agreed that they looked great, but asked that we fact check these. And so I reached out to the county Marin, and the director there set me up with the county naturalist that was able to look over these. And which actually ended up being a really cool experience. So it kind of circled around the county. Everybody really liked these drawings, and how cool they were. There wasn't any facts that were necessarily off or anything, but the naturalist was able to make some suggestions on certain species that could be added or moved to different zones. And I thought that was our artist Emma Oil was able to easily incorporate those changes into this next group of drawings. So I'll try to point them out as I see them, but I believe, I can't remember exactly which one, but I think on this slide, it was we added the California poppy. The naturalist is also fun to point out that the naturalist does a lot of work over at Hal Brown down the road. So is very familiar with this section of the creek too, and so was able to make some suggestions there. And I can't remember which one of these plants, but one of these plants was supposed to be in the middle marsh zone, not the lower marsh zone. So I think that was the fact checked there that we had. So
Nice catch.
so
Yeah.
it's fun to watch people that love and know a lot about this stuff talk about it. So yeah, so we can kind of go through these. Happy to answer any questions. One of the we decided to pull one of the slides, talking with the city manager's office. The timeline of Piper Park got a little bit convoluted, and the original idea for that one, if you remember, as a highlight, that the park was part of it was the county dump. before. So that was kind of the exciting part. And what we ran into, especially in the fact checking process, was that there's really not a lot of facts before 1974, I think, about the park. So it was really hard to verify a lot of that stuff. And then there were also concerns with the Native American references and getting approval from the different bodies with that. So so that was one that we decided to hold off, focus on these four while we'll figure out what that one looks like and if that's an educational sign or something that's maybe already pre-printed. That is, yeah, so the next step with this project would be to have Emma Oil go ahead and colorize these and get these ready for print. And at that point, don't think we would, I think at that point, we print them out and have them delivered and installed. Before Rita left, she had kind of thought that it would be more towards the end of summer. I'm not familiar with installation of these projects. Rita's a lot more familiar than I am with it. So late summer sounds like a long time from now, but it's probably a realistic expectation.
I have a question with
Yeah.
regards to the ones that are getting pulled.
Mhm.
Will there be substitutes that go in their place if we originally commissioned, 2 or 3 more and those are getting pulled? Will we?
I would like to, although we're gonna stick with these four right now, I have a feeling
Okay.
that depending on how these are received in the public, I think that we're gonna likely try to go out for more of these at a later date. So at this time, yeah, not 5.
Man, question, Madam Chair.
Yes,
Does that change the budgeting right now? Because there's a budget number on here, so will that change the budget? And will
That
those
budget
funds
will
still
go
be-
down the fabrication of one sign, and
Will those funds still be available then?
probably not for this project. This will probably stay in the Measure A fund.
what action do you need from us on this?
So at this point, I would need just approval of for us to move forward with these 4 signs. And one thing I forgot to add is I know we've mentioned it before, but when we do install these, it would be, we're planning on doing kind of a little ribbon cutting and inviting families out to see it, and it's a great opportunity for kids and families to meet the artist too, as I know Emma Oil wanted to be involved in that and to be out there.
About like a bingo card or something, like go find the signs or making it fun, right?
Pleasure.
Like-
Yeah,
Treasure
fun,
hunt or-
engaging, and Ms. Oil's been teaching classes in Nevada for Nevada Park and Rec too, so is likely learning a lot about.
And the naturalist who helped you.
Yeah,
I have to invite them.
that's another good one, yeah.
I was just gonna say, the Ridgeway rail in this slide looks magnificent. I think she did a great job. I'm really pleased to see that in here. All of its opulence. I hope it does well around the large fence. Any other thoughts? I guess I'd like to make a motion to approve the 4 charts.
I would second that motion.
Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
All right, motion passes. We will get the artist started on the colorization of these
Yeah,
signs.
it's so cool.
Yeah, the color.
Yeah.
people.
That'll be great.
I'm gonna hold this in the color.
All right, the next business item, 4.2, is park class permit discussion.
Perfect. Very broad discussion at this point. This is kind of an informal, just conversation that I'm looking to have with you guys. Over the past, occasionally we get these requests from businesses or people in the community that want to do like a yoga class, a parent-child singing class in the park. And it's not something that fits into our rental boxes. So we can't, we're like, oh, I could rent you a softball field, but that's not going to be what you want. So what I'm looking for is something, and this is not really done in a lot of places. So we'd be kind of, I think, one of the first to implement something like this is something where people can come and run some kind of class in the park that benefits the community, and that I can give them a reasonable space in the park to run this. And the commission approved this back in, I think it was actually 2021 that it was approved. We were getting approached by businesses that were unable to operate at capacity indoors due to COVID. And so they were asking for space outside to run boot camps or running classes, stuff that they would normally be doing inside that they needed outdoor space for. Not many people took us up on the offer, but we did end up with like a random yoga class out there. There was some parent-child singing classes, and generally they would meet kind of wherever. The parent-child singing class would meet near the restrooms and the playground there, kind of under the trees, which is not a space that we would typically rent out. And I think the yoga class just met on the grassy lawn. So right now we've received a couple of requests from various businesses to run like community classes. In this case, the most recent one is at Niven Park. So it kind of opens up a larger conversation about what the commission would see moving forward with this. So I sat down to write a policy and realized that I had no idea how everybody felt about it, and thought that it would be a good conversation to have, so that I could have some direction when writing the policy, so that it doesn't get torn up right away.
I have a bunch of questions.
Yeah, I guess my two thoughts are, if it's open to the public and it's, well, I guess COVID's done, so the same kind of trend with parklets going away. Maybe that happens with the use of parks for classes and business purposes. There's a way for the parks to benefit financially from it. I think that's great. Otherwise, maybe it'd be nice if these classes are open to the public, but I'd be curious what the other commissioners think and feel.
Okay, before the list, I think this is a good topic. Once again, living where I live, over the years, I have seen Niven used for a variety of different kinds of classes, whether they're boot camp,
Bootleg or something, yeah.
and I know that they're not officially endorsed in any kind of way. So I do think it's a good agenda item to discuss and decide what to do with it.
Great, thank you. Yeah, one of the other benefits of a policy, or whatever that policy looks like, is that when we do approach people, it's not just hey, you can't be here.
Yeah.
It's you can't be here, the commission decided this, or here's the process for doing what you're doing.
Your list?
My list. Okay, so a couple of things. One, first of all, I'm all for revenue generating things. I think that's great. Why wouldn't we do have rental policies. So why couldn't they rent the picnic area or the baseball diamond so we're talking about a quadrant of a certain field or something?
Yeah, so this, so the reason this comes up is a good question. So I have these conversations where, I can rent you a softball field, and they're like, well, I kind of want to be under the trees. I want to be in the shade for this parent-child story time, which makes sense. And then I just lost my train of thought.
You don't have to answer right now. I'm just saying, when you're gonna write a policy, then we're gonna have to review a policy, right? Okay, so that comes to mind, and then
Yeah.
if it is a area under the willow tree along the creek, we have that area of you can't be close to the water, so you have a DC issue, right? So we don't rent those spaces near the water line, obviously, because we have that, 80-foot clearance or whatever that, we have a line of demarcation that we can't go to anyway, so we'd have to decide what areas you're gonna rent, and if it's not a definable space like the diamond, how do we, if they rent 10 by 10 space, what's to stop them from going to a 20 by 20 space, and now they're infringing on someone else, how would that be defined? So baseball diamond is easy to define. So that would be something else I would be not concerned about, but it would be something I want to be defined in the policy. And then I think about Niven, and there's people surrounded it. So if we're gonna have a singing class on a Saturday morning, I can already hear the people who live in the condos are gonna be like, what the hell? And then neighborhood park or whatever over in. Same thing.
Yeah.
It's like basically
Yeah.
that living community's private park, even if it's ours. Same thing, so are we defining what can happen in certain parks and not what event can happen in a certain park and not in others, so that would have to be part of it.
Mhm.
So what's limited in what parks, what kind of event can be in what parks? I think that would have to be decided, and you probably have to decide what space is rentable.
Mhm.
You know, cause it should be defined, it shouldn't be every time someone wants to rent an area. You have to decide if it's rentable, like.
Mhm.
They're coming to you, so I would imagine you have an idea of the kinds of spaces you need to have available. So you need to have a couple areas quiet under trees or flat areas for yoga or whatever that is. Like maybe we start with a couple of areas that are what you feel are the most requested and then see if we need to define more areas versus every time someone comes and wants some rental space, you've got to define a specific area in one of our parks. Those are that's my list.
That's good.
And yeah, that's great, and I'm also looking for that direction from you guys too, about what would be too much, what would be.
And then a fee schedule.
Fee schedule goes through council, so
Right.
yeah, I'd need
Which I did last night.
recommendations. Yeah, so I went last night, we did preemptively approve
Yeah.
an extra fee in there that I can use that basically matches the cost of fields. So
Oh.
so we called it a community grass area. I can't remember what the official term is, but it matches what the rental of a soccer field or softball field would go for.
And, well, I guess I don't know if this is the right time, I guess something that came up is, right now, there's an event in one of our parks that no other reservations were allowed to be made in that park on that day. And I would have concerns about that going forward. This is separate from this situation, but in regards to park rental policy, I would think that if a park is going to be completely reserved and not allow anybody else to reserve anything in that park, I would like to know that it be brought in front of the commission before that's done.
I would agree with that,
Mhm.
and I think that should also command a much higher fee.
Yeah, if they're gonna, if that limits anybody else's activity in the park,
Yeah, and potentially a event of that magnitude, I think we were talking about environmental impact reports for leash laws, I think that
yeah.
would
I mean, I just think-
warrant it.
especially in Piper, which is such a huge community park.
Yeah,
There's an event now that, I've just been made aware that no other event can be rented, no other space can be rented in that park for that day. And that was the deal that was made, and I respect that deal. If someone else made that decision, and that's fine, but it seems like that should be something that should be. And I don't know how that policy is written or what, if there is a policy, but it seems like that should be part of something that's in the Park and Rec Commission's purview, or who does that go to, or if that's an event planning permit from the city. I never heard of that before, and it just seems a little off-center to me.
Okay. I have an answer for that, but I don't want to discuss this
I
too
understand.
much
No,
because
I
it's
understand.
not.
It's not on the agenda, so we
yeah.
can't, but I'd like to have it on the record. I will
Yeah.
probably write a letter to council about it, because
Yeah.
it seems a little odd to me.
have to sign that.
Yep.
Would that be something that we would agendize for a future
I
meeting?
would like to, so that's why I'm saying it.
Okay,
And we can't discuss this on the agenda, so.
okay, perfect.
Do we have, kind of back to Jean's, list, or Commissioner Friedel's, great list? Are there kind of temporal boundings for this, like for certain times, or at different rates? Different rate structures, Saturdays, Sundays
Oh, yeah.
versus?
I don't do that for normal rentals in
Okay.
general. We don't have peak hour rentals or anything like that, so
Okay,
I would like to avoid that, but.
And also, sorry, the only revenue the city would get, because it's city rentals, right? It doesn't, it's not deemed park and rec rental, it's city rental, right?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
So where does the fee applied to? Is it applied to park and rec's budget, or is it applied to city rentals?
Any, yeah, recreation fees would go to the
Goes to
recreation
your-
fund,
right,
which
it's
ends up
all
in the general
city
fund.
money, but it's
Yeah.
applied to your budget money.
Yeah.
So also then, if it's a private class, would it be open to, could I come in and say, I've got 20 people, I'm gonna have a private class? Or as soon as they reserve it, would that class have to be open to the public? So how is that defined? Are they renting a private space? And I don't know if I have a feeling one way or the other, but we'd have to.
Yeah.
good question.
Yeah.
I mean, because someone rents a party for a birthday party, rents a picnic area, it's not open to the public.
And you would want that,
I don't
Tied,
know
well-
what the answer is, but I think it
But you
probably
think
needs
you
to be
would-
defined.
it should be defined and maybe tied to rates.
Yeah, maybe, because like I said, if you rent the picnic area for a birthday party, it's not open to the public.
Mhm.
So it doesn't necessarily
Yeah.
have to be, but it probably needs to be defined in this policy, I would
Yeah.
imagine, in some
Okay.
way. So your 3-page policies became 7. Sorry. That was all. I had.
No, that's good, that's good. The only thing that I would add to that is, it might make sense, and it kind of ties on to what has already been said, is there might be certain parks where it's not appropriate.
Mhm.
You know, so we would need to define, these are the parks and the open space that can be, and probably not after dark.
Types of activities
Correct.
as well,
Well,
maybe.
there were sound ordinance issues.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Park rules still apply,
Mhm.
ideally, unless we would,
well, there's no lights, right? So it would have to be dusk on most parks.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
And nothing on the tennis courts,
And
like
did
the
you-
pickleballers.
Did you want to provide some direction tonight on which parks?
Are there any parks that we would wanna,
Sounds like Niven and Piper are our largest parks.
There.
Beyond those, are there ones that you guys would expand this policy to or push to be included?
I would ask Nick, have you have requests for other parks, or did the requests come in for other areas?
I've not had requests for other
Other than Niven?
parks. Yeah, Niven more recently, since the
Okay, so
playground
beautiful.
renovation, yeah,
Yeah,
so.
let's head, probably like Bonnie or Landing, there was a period of time where someone wanted to have like a kayak rental business or something like that. One of
There
the
was
few
a-
parks we have with the dock.
Yeah,
Camp that kind of,
yeah.
I was able to move to Piper, after they were, and so, and that's actually prime example, I think I rented them picnic tables,
Nice.
that they never used, so. So, again, these renting of spaces where I'm kind of like, all right, kayak camp, you get a softball field. That you'll never use, but it'll cover the cost of you using the bathroom and the parking impacts and.
Would this also extend to include, I believe next to Marine Rowing, there's a dock down there
There it is.
that the
Yeah.
city owns. I don't know if that's considered like a mini park, but would that also fall under this ordinance? So if we wanted to rent it out for, a kayak club or something like that, we would have an additional.
It's not a park, but it is a public dock, it's under the city's purview. Yeah, I don't know that I would recommend using that, because I had thought about Bonaire Landing Park, whether that would be one that we would consider. One of the challenges with any park outside of Piper, and this includes Niven, is that there's not restrooms. So if
Okay.
you're, so that's one of the main reasons that I had to move the kayak camp from a couple of years ago from, Bon Airs. They kind of just showed up and started using it. And
Yeah,
so, yeah, so that's one of the drawbacks. The reason that Niven is included in this is because of the proximity to
Yep.
restrooms and the restaurants and at Bon Air.
I'm all for making money.
And this would allow you to deal with the spontaneous event of a yoga instructor just telling their class, hey, it'd be really great to do outdoor
Right,
yoga.
yeah.
Let's show up in Niven
Right.
Park
Yeah.
at 9 a.m. and we'll do our class there.
And now you have somewhere to.
Yeah.
Now you'll have the ability to say, not cool.
Yeah, so it's nice, because we joke about this in Park and Rec, is that we're, you know, chasing different boot camps away and chasing different classes away, and everybody just says, oh, go to Redwood, go to Piper, go to Town Park, and it's just kind of moving people around, and in general, a lot of people want to do the right thing. The right thing just doesn't exist, as far as they're concerned. So offering somebody an option might be an easy way to have those conversations.
Would there be any incentive to, let's say you had a yoga instructor who wanted to do outdoor classes? Is there any way that they could actually come through the rec department, offer the class through recreation? But in this particular case, the venue is going to be in Piper Park or in Niven, you know, someplace where you can see the.
Yeah, that's actually a great question. That's traditionally what we try to do, and that's
Okay.
what most rec departments will do is, hey, would you want to offer this through us? Typically, it depends. So if somebody's starting up a business, they love working with us because we do the outreach. We get we can drum up a lot of business potentially for people. If they have an established business, they're not as keen to do that. If they have a yoga studio and they just want to do, a Sunday class on, the first Sunday of the month, during the summer, then again, they're not looking at splitting revenue with us.
Yeah,
But a class that's put on as a partnership, that's a different situation anyway, because that's Park and Rec doing it and using one of our
Yes, and-
venues is different.
And we have done yoga
Right,
classes in the
exactly.
park.
That's like
We-
super school,
yeah.
summer school, so
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
different.
And that's usually my first kind of pitch to people, but again, it doesn't always fit their
Right.
business model. Okay.
Awesome.
Good. I think I have a little bit of direction. So overall, the group seems supportive of that. With
Yeah.
clearly defined boundaries.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes,
Come up right now.
yeah.
I just like think of Shannon had to write the art commission. one.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, and I don't need any action for that.
great. We will move to the director's oral report.
Thank you. So tomorrow night we have the flashlight egg hunt at Piper Park. It's happening at 8:30 p.m. Fingers crossed it happens at 8:30 p.m. and not 5 minutes before that. So we'll be out there. This is a partnership with the town of Corte Madera and the Corte Madera Rec Department. So they'll have some staff out there as well with me. We have, I think, tomorrow night, we have 30 teen and tween volunteers. They're gonna be helping us. And they'll all be in bright yellow and orange vests and spreading eggs for about 45 minutes, and then they keep the crowds back. And it's funny when the families come out and the kids come out and the lights out there all really behaved when it's still light, but as the sun goes down, those kids start to press the limits of what they can do and get away with. So so we hold a strong line and
So
until it
45 minutes
breaks.
To hide the eggs and 3 minutes to get them?
So this year, we're actually gonna do it on the soccer fields and softball fields. We're gonna utilize the entire
Where the.
inside the perimeter path, and that's because of everything happening late this year. So it'll be cool. And in previous years, we did it in the picnic area and where the dog park now is. Last year was rained out. And so this will be the first year that the dog park is there. So it's just the space got a lot smaller and it made sense to move it over since the fields are open. So this is one of my favorite events. It's a lot of energy out there. So
How many eggs?
so I think we're gonna do about 5,000 tomorrow night. So, yeah, so we purchase pre-stuffed eggs from a company, Holiday Goo down in LA that works year round, and they employ adults with disabilities that year round stuff eggs with candy and toys, and then they sell them all right before the spring.
Wow.
So yeah, so it's pretty cool, very excited about that. And then the next morning we'll be at Town Park, again, teaming with the town of Corte Madera to do the spring Twin Cities egg hunt. And that starts at 10 a.m. Again, it's over in a few minutes, but we'll have the giant bunny out there to take photos with families, and it's really good time. We have 25 tween volunteers for that too. So the other side of these events that make it so fun is these kids that have outgrown the egg hunts get to come back and help with it. And so it's it's a volunteer for them, and so they get some hours for school, but it's great to get them active and doing stuff that's good for their community, and they love it. They're so excited to sign up for it, and it's an easy couple hours of volunteer work for them. Maybe not easy, but they have fun. And that is all I have. There's a couple things. Yeah, the spring summer guide you should have received it within the last week. So as you look through it, if you see anything that you think should be added to it, feel free to let me know. The one thing that I want to point out is within the brochure, but then mainly on the front page, is we hired a city photographer for a few special events over the last year. So we're finally at a stage where we can actually use our photos for our brochure. We're not using stock photos. So many of our photos are so outdated, and they're taken on old iPhones that they just don't look good in print. So we're finally starting to build up that library of photos. So very excited for the fall one that comes out too, because we get some really great pumpkin patch photos last year. So, and that is all I have.
Okay, thank you. Any questions?
I do have a question. I just actually more of a note.
Mhm.
You have all these volunteers and they're all high school?
Mostly 7th and 8th grade.
Yeah, so maybe it'd be nice if the wrecking crew could throw them a little thank you, because I know the community foundation thanks all the community volunteers at the hall or whatever.
Okay.
So maybe wrecking park and rec and wrecking crew could throw a little thank you barbecue for all the tween volunteers sometime.
Okay.
We should thank them too. They don't get to come to the other volunteer thank you that all the boards and commissions do.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe we should think about doing that. I don't know what time of year that makes sense. But let's think about doing some sort of thank you for them. I think maybe wrecking crew should do that.
Perfect. Yeah,
And
one of
maybe
my
the commissioners could all be there and thank them all for the work they do for all the events.
one of my goals is, and it kind of fell apart this year, being short-staffed and other things, but is to really build up a robust volunteer
Exactly.
program. And then thank you at the end of the year would be
Yeah,
great.
so let's make sure we figure out when to do that in the course of the event calendar. And like I said, I think wrecking crew should support.
Perfect.
Great. Commissioners reports. Do any commissioners have any reports for us? No, sir.
Nothing to report.
All right. then.
Bookmarks?
Oh, do you have them up here?
You have them.
Oh, I haven't,
I didn't say it. I thought you
There's an event.
were gonna cover it.
So
Oh, tow trucks.
on May 4th, may the 4th be with you. an event put on by the Friends of the Library in support of the new library at the Commons to buy books for the new library. There's Touch Truck, which is at the back, we call it the back parking lot at Redwood High School, is that what it's called? East parking lot. And so there's tons of trucks. There's fire trucks and construction trucks and dump trucks and electric trucks and trucks from Public Works, and kids go nuts. And so it's like from 9 to 12, and there's a VIP ticket. You can come in and have that part of yourself for an hour before the general ticket's at 10. There's a VIP area that wrecking crew will be supporting. There's food and coffee and
Very
booze
cool.
and it's just a great time. We've got Johnny's Donuts there for pizza and shaved ice and ice cream. So there's snacks that you can get all morning. And it's a great event. And like I said, the Friends of the Library is supporting it. Which is, so I'd encourage everyone to come out. If you don't have a ticket, you can come out and do that. So come join us.
It is a lot of fun.
Yeah,
My,
it's just nuts, right?
my little grandnephew just
Kids go
had a
bananas.
fabulous time. I'm guessing he'll be there again this year.
Kids go bananas for
They
it.
did, they love it. It's really cool.
Who knew?
Yeah, I know.
Thank you for running.
Anything?
Nothing to report.
All right, with that, we can adjourn the meeting. We need a motion on that.
And we make a motion that we adjourn at 7:10.
I would second that motion.
And I'm in favor of it. So I think that makes it unanimous.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you.
Thank you, Nick.
Thanks, Nick.